Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Coppa, Coppa, Coppa. It's all I've been hearing the last few days. People are freaking out. I've gotten emails, I've gotten comments to videos. People are telling me, Steve, your YouTube channel is about to get shut down. And I'm not talking about the scam emails I get. I'm talking about people who say, Steve, you don't understand. Your YouTube channel is about to get shut down because of this thing called Coppa and the Federal Trade Commission. And no, my channel's not about to get shut down. Yours probably isn't either. But you got to weed through all the noise to find out what's going on. One thing I will tell you right now is that a lot of YouTube creators, people who put content in YouTube, like to get clicks by scaring people. And so they'll put up a video that says something to the effect of, you are about to lose your channel thanks to Coppa. And, if you click on that, you got to go into it knowing that that's what they're trying to scare you. But I'm going to tell you now everything you need to know about Coppa. And for the few of you who don't know, I am an attorney. In the state of Michigan. What I'm dispensing here is not legal advice. I've got a disclaimer at the end of the video that says so. But I'm just going to read to you a bunch of stuff about Coppa and explain it to you as best I can in the limitations of YouTube. And of course, you can ask questions, but they'll be below and I can't answer them in real time. So here's what we'll do. I'll tell you first, I went around the internet and looked for a good explanation of what's happening. And I found a very good one on Variety. And I'm waiting for someone to chime in and go, hey, that's fake news, man. But I've never heard Variety being accused of being fake news. But Todd Spangler wrote the story. YouTube creators worried and confused over new kid video Coppa rules, potential fines, and so on. So understand this, that the worried and confused is the important part here, not necessarily threatened. YouTube, starting this month, is requiring all creators, regardless of location and whether or not they produce content intended for children, to designate whether their videos are made for kids. And I got the notice. I logged on, was uploading a video, and they sent a thing that says, you must say, is this video aimed at children? Is it directed at children? I said, no, none of my videos are. I clicked no. I moved on. And if I hadn't seen the brouhaha all over the internet and YouTube, I would have not even thought of doing a video about this because who wants to talk about the Federal Trade Commission's obscure rules like Coppa? But apparently, there's a lot of people out there concerned about this. The change is the result of YouTube's $170 million settlement with the Federal Trade Commission and the New York Attorney General for alleged violations of the U.S. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or Coppa. The law prohibits internet companies from collecting data from kids 13 years old or under, and YouTube was accused of violating that law. Here's the problem. The law was passed, I believe, in 1998. And like many laws passed in the early days of the internet, it wasn't actually crafted very well and didn't anticipate what was going to come later. This law probably does need to be changed, but we can't do that in this video, so we'll move on. YouTube is putting the onus on creators to comply with Coppa. Quote, if you fail to set your audience accurately, you may face compliance issues with the FTC or other authorities, and we may take action on your YouTube account. And that's from YouTube's Help Center document on this topic. A lot of people, by the way, have complained also about a recent change in the terms of service to YouTube, where YouTube has said specifically that they can take action against your channel if they see fit. For instance, if your channel's breaking rules or they think it's not commercially viable because nobody would want to place ads on it because of the dumb content or something. And I've had people screaming and yelling about that also, and they're forgetting the fact that YouTube is a company. If you don't like what they're doing, go someplace else. So, creators are subject to potential fines for running afoul of Coppa, according to the FTC. The law allows for civil penalties of up to $42,530 per violation. No idea why they have such a strange number. That's the first thing I would ask. Why $42,530? I don't know. That's according to the agency. However, the FTC considers a number of factors in determining the appropriate amount, including a company's financial condition and the impact a penalty could have on its ability to stay in business. And I'll actually get into the actual FTC rules and their explanation of this as well. But I wanted to give you the overview first. That has sent shockwaves to the YouTube community and has even led some creators to delete videos or threaten to leave YouTube altogether. Okay? Or you can hold your breath. Do that too. This Coppa stuff is terrifying, and I changed the word stuff, according to Danielle Pitts, who uses the screen name Doopy. A YouTube animator and voice actor tweeted this week, my videos aren't directed to children, but I can still get fined $42,000 for marking my videos as meant for adults because it isn't mature enough. No, that's not what they said. Because it can be easily mistaken? Again, that's not what they said. I'm heartbroken. Well, that might be true. YouTube was my dream. I agree. It's my dream too. I dream, you dream, we all dream for YouTube. Some YouTubers are issuing dire predictions about the impact of the platform's new Coppa rules. Alex Carducci, known as Relax Alex, wrote, "If it doesn't get more attention, you can pretty much expect the end for gaming, animation, and cartoon videos on YouTube." He makes gaming videos on his YouTube channel. There's another part of YouTube's Coppa compliance rules that is causing major concern. Starting in January 2020, YouTube will limit the data it collects for videos marked as made for kids under the government settlement. And that's really what's going on here. Is people say, well, Steve, why would it matter if you mark it for kids or not for kids? Why not just mark them all for kids to be on the safe side? Well, here's what happens if you do that. For starters, YouTube videos designated for kids will not be able to include targeted advertising because, as you may know, they target ads at specific demographics, as age and gender of people, and also possibly where they're located. And so, if they can't gather the data on a particular video, they can't tell an advertiser, "Oh, we know who watches this video," because they don't. They don't collect the data. In addition, a whole slew of other features that depend on user data will be disabled, including comments, channel branding, the donate button, cards and end screens, live chat donations, notifications, and save to playlist or watch later features. Plus, the kid video designation will also apparently make them unsearchable. But that's not official. That's just something that Perry Grip, a daytime Emmy-winning songwriter, whose long-running YouTube channel features songs about food and animals, noticed that videos marked in YouTube for kids don't show up in a Google search. He said, "It's as if Google is censoring all of my wholesome kid-friendly videos. No raining tacos? No space unicorn? Who does this help?" I haven't seen those videos. Maybe I'd be enlightened if I did. According to YouTube, it will use machine learning to help us identify videos that are clearly directed to young audiences, and they may override a channel or creator's audience setting choice in cases of error or abuse. YouTube creators can set their entire channel to be made for kids or mark only specific videos as such. And I'll tell you, again, as a YouTube creator, I have a page that I go into and I upload stuff and I can watch my channel and things. And I actually just checked the box, just said every video I'm doing is not aimed at kids. Boom, one check mark. That's all it took for me. Now, I might be different based on what I do on my videos, but I'll talk about that in a second. Creators are advised that YouTube is not responsible for protecting kids and users from legal liability. If you need help determining whether or not your content is made for kids, check out this Help Center article or consult legal counsel, YouTube says. There's also the question of what videos made for kids even means. According to the FTC, there's no one-size-fits-all answer, but in general, it says Coppa rules apply if the intended audience is kids under 13. Okay? So, intended. That's always a scary thing when you talk about intent in a statute, because how does anybody know what anybody else is intending to do? But one thing I can tell you is the Federal Trade Commission itself has a website. And on their website, they've got a thing that says, YouTube channel owners, is your content directed to children? And they are answering the question that everyone's been asking, and this got posted yesterday, which explains one of the reasons why I took several days to do this video. Once in a while, I like to jump on a story while it's fresh, do a video right away. Once in a while, I want to play out a little bit, because sure enough, the Federal Trade Commission issued a statement as to what you need to know. Under Coppa, how do I know if my channel is directed to children? Again, that's the key phrase, directed to children. Since the FTC and New York Attorney General announced their settlement with YouTube this last September, we've heard the question from channel owners, sometimes called content creators. If you're a channel owner who shares content on user-generated platforms like YouTube, and by the way, this would apply to other platforms too, by the way. It's not just YouTube. Read on for FTC staff guidance about the applicability of the Coppa rule and how those governed by the rule can comply with its requirements. The lawsuit against YouTube and Google alleged that the companies illegally collected personal information from children in violation of Coppa. According to the complaint, the companies collected the information from viewers of child-directed YouTube channels in the form of persistent identifiers that track users across the internet, but didn't notify parents and get their consent. So under Coppa, if a website's going to gather information from a child, they actually have to get the parents' permission, which of course is never going to happen. So you got to be careful when you're getting information from anybody on the internet if that person might be a child. Of course, you can't know everything, so the rule's not that draconian. So to settle the case, YouTube and Google agreed to create a mechanism so that channel owners can designate when the videos they upload to YouTube are, to use the words of Coppa, directed to children. Are they directed to children? The purpose of the requirement is to make sure that both YouTube and channel owners are complying with the law. And then there's a recap here about Coppa. The provision of the settlement has raised questions among content creators about how to determine if what they upload to YouTube or other platforms is directed to children. So the FTC is the one that enforces the rule. And in general, Coppa requires operators of commercial websites and online services that are directed to children to provide notice and obtain verifiable parental consent before they collect personal information from kids. Now, the Coppa rule defines personal information to include obvious things like a child's name, address, but that's not all. It can also include persistent identifiers, which are things like an IP address, cookies, and so on. And those are what Google uses to track people so they can sell advertising on YouTube. Keep in mind that an operator also might be collecting personal information through an open comment field. So if a kid were to log on to your video that's directed at kids and say, hey, my name is Bob Johnson, and I live in Anytown, USA, and I'm 9 years old, and here's my home phone number, okay? You didn't make them do that. They just did that. Kids do stupid stuff. And so if that video of yours was directed at a kid and that comment went online, technically speaking, you have just gathered that information. How does Coppa apply to channel owners who upload their content on YouTube or another third-party platform? Coppa applies in the same way it would if the channel owner had its own website. So it doesn't matter that Google or YouTube owns the platform. You are treated as the person who's in charge here because it's your channel. If a channel owner uploads content to a platform like YouTube, the channel might meet the definition of a website or online service covered by Coppa. If the content is directed to children, there's a problem. So here's what we're going to get to now. Under Coppa, there is no one-size-fits-all answer about what makes a site directed to children. But we can offer some guidance. To be clear, your content isn't considered directed to children just because children may see it. Okay? If your intended audience is kids under 13, you're covered by Coppa. And you have to honor the rules requirements. The rule sets out factors the FTC will consider in determining whether your content is child-directed. The subject matter, the visual content, use of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives, the kind of music or other audio content, the age of models, the presence of child celebrities or celebrities who appeal to children, language or other characteristics of the site, whether advertising that promotes or appears on the site is directed to children, and competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of your audience. Now, this does go on for several more pages, and I'm not going to read them all, but I will put a link to the FTC paper in the description below. But just so you know, I'm going to explain to you why I got to check none of my videos are directed to kids. The subject matter. I got news for you. I'm a man in my mid-50s. I'm an attorney, and I talk about cars and the law, driving and so on, traffic issues, car buying. None of those things are directed at children 13 or under. In fact, children 13 or under can't legally drive in most places. Very few of them own cars, and very few of them even understand, let alone care about the law. So my topics are right over the heads of 13-year-olds or under. No one would accuse this show of being aimed at or directed at children. Number 2, the visual content. Again, you got a guy in his mid-50s. Ain't no 12-year-old kids out there going, "Ooh, look at him, he's interesting." I have a hard enough time getting the 57-year-olds to think that. The use of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives. Again, there's a big goose egg on that. There's no animated characters. The kind of music. Again, goose egg, no music on my channel. Or other audio content. As you know, all I have is me and a couple robot voices. And the robot voices wouldn't apply to children because my robot does such a good job of it that she sounds like a woman who's much older than 13. Not much. I'm sorry. The presence of child celebrities. Again, there's never been a celebrity on my channel and there never will be. Language or other characteristics of the site. The language I use, I hate to use the word adult because that's often confused as being obscene or sexual, but I do use adult language. I don't dumb this down that far. I do use big words, and occasionally I break out the Oxford English Dictionary and talk about words like bamboozled and befuddled and brouhaha, okay? I don't use language that appeal to a 13-year-old. And then whether advertising promotes or appears on the site is directed to children, I don't put any of my own advertising on here. Google puts advertising on, and they wouldn't be doing that either. And competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience. And you say, Steve, how on earth would you get that? Well, the funny thing, of course, is I've got that. As a YouTube creator, you can go into the creator page panel and look up the statistics on your demographics of who's watching your videos. And it breaks down by age, sex, and location. I can tell you 95% of my viewers are in the United States of America. I can tell you that 24% of my viewers are between the ages of 45 and 54. I can tell you that 23% of my videos viewers are between the ages of 55 and 64. So 48% of my viewership, and there's fractions, that's why it works out that way. 48% of my viewers are between the ages of 45 and 64. In the last 28 days, of the viewers who watched my videos, 0% of them were 13 to 17 years old. And there were 0% younger than that, okay? So I don't even worry about it because right now, there ain't no 13-year-olds watching. And so if my videos were directed at 13-year-olds, I'd be doing a really, really bad job of it because so far I wouldn't have gotten a single one to watch. So if the Federal Trade Commission came after me and said, hey, Mr. Lehto, and I'd say, thank you for calling me Mr., but you can call me Steve. They said, Mr. Lehto, we think you violated the Coppa because you have a channel with 900 videos on it somehow aimed at kids, directed at children. I'd say, no. I'll go through your list with you, and I tell you that you're batting zero. Not a single one of your things. Now, I had somebody say, Steve, you've got cars behind you. Cars appeal to children. Yeah, talking cars do. But I am going to throw a little trivia thing out for you. The oldest car behind me is obviously the Tucker. The newest car behind me, I'll tell you, it's the Daytona. And it's 50 years old. So if you think that a man is making videos and he's in his 50s and he's got behind him a couple of cars that are 50 years old or older, and he's doing that to direct his videos at kids, again, I tell you, he's doing a bad job of it because, like I said, right now, statistically, 0.0% of his viewers are 13 or under. So they couldn't make that argument for me. So for those of you who are worried about Coppa, the sky's not falling. Go read this thing yourself and look at those criteria and ask yourself, can somebody come and look at your videos and say, yes, these videos are directed at children. They're directed at children. If that's the answer, then yeah, check the box, say it is. If it's not the answer, don't check the box. Trust me, there's other people out there who pop up on the radar long before me and probably long before you. So that's the truth about Coppa. The sky's not falling. Questions or comments, put them below. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Lehto's Law.